Welcome to another show. Today, I wanted to talk to you about midlife and health and what we think we know that we don't know and how that's harming us and how it's not allowing us to get to our health goals. So I'm 48. I'll be 49 May. I'm recording this right now in April of 2024. So I'm nearing 50. And 13 years ago, I was a certified trainer and a nutrition coach. I was in the best shape of my life. I felt good. I was 34, 35, right in that time frame. And I felt better in my 30s than I did in my 20s until life happens. I don't know if you can relate to that, but the circumstances of life, I allowed to bring me into a place that I was not able to support myself in. So what happened was, I won't go into the story of it all, but there was a death of a parent. There was a divorce through this time. There is kids getting older and not being needed as much. So the question was, what role do I have to play? Or not really what role do I have to play, but what role do I play as a mom now and as a single mom? There was a move in the mix. There was a new business that I was trying to get off the ground. There were so many things. And I've always been one of these women in their life that I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. And not letting many things get in the way of that. However, this time was different. About, when was it? 3 years ago, every time I would get on the scale, I felt like I was gaining at least 1 pound, sometimes a couple pounds. And with everything that was going on in my life, right, there was so much stress and there was so much feelings of overwhelm that I didn't know how to navigate through it. So I was falling back on old coping mechanisms. And those would be sugar and some alcohol from time to time. And I just didn't feel good. I just didn't feel good. Like, I did some days, and I would talk myself out of like, oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. Right. I don't know if you can relate to that. Like, you don't feel good, but you're like, you don't really remember what it was like to feel really good. So you kind of gaslight yourself kind of, and like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'll get through this. Even though you have back pain or you have knee pain or you have hip pain or ankle pain, and things just aren't quite moving the same way as what they used to move, right? So that was happening to me. I would look in the mirror and I didn't like what was looking back at me at all. So I finally decided about a year ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to get my hormones tested, my vitamin D tested, and just see what's going on here. Well, my hormones were tanked. My estrogen and progesterone were tanked. My testosterone is fine. My cortisol, though, was like flipped. It was high when it should have been low, and it was low when it should have been high. So no wonder, right? I'm like feeling miserable because in the morning I'm tired. I wasn't sleeping worth anything. I would wake up in the middle of the night, having to go to the bathroom, and I'd have a hard time getting back to bed. And it was brutal for a while. It was really brutal. So, like I said, I went to get my hormones tested, did all this, and realized, all right, I have to make some changes here. I've got to do something different. So I started going to the gym. I started, um, eating what I thought was better, right? Because remember 13 years ago, I was a nutrition coach. So I knew, I knew what I needed to eat. I knew what I didn't want to eat to get healthy, but nothing was working. Nothing was working. So I found myself thinking, okay, what is wrong with me that this is not working now? Like this used to work. Why isn't it working anymore? And almost this internal shame of, you know, like why isn't this dialing in now? Like I have these parts right, but it's not, the scale's not moving. It's not moving. And I'm not sleeping better still. And so I was tired still through the day, like around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd want to take a nap. I was just exhausted and want to like take a nap. And I'm going to tell you this right now as I'm recording this, it's 3:05 p.m. and I have had energy all day long. So I'm just letting you know. That was then that I'm sharing with you. This is now. And this is a year later, a year and like 1 month later. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit and pick this up, but I was not feeling good at all. I was trying everything that I knew to try, that I knew to try. What I didn't know, I didn't know that. What I don't know, I don't know. What we don't know until we know. What we don't know, we don't know until we know. Kind of fun to say, actually. So I highly recommend it. Anyways, so last October, after breaking my ankle in August of 2023, I couldn't move. I couldn't put any weight on it. It was to not move was really humbling, incredibly humbling. And I remember seeing people, like when I would get out of the house, because it was my right foot was my driving foot. So I would have to depend on other people to drive me when I would leave the house. And I didn't leave very often though, because it just wasn't comfortable to leave the house and on a scooter. I don't know. Anyways, but I would every once in a while when I would leave the house, I would see other people in stores, say on a scooter, in a wheelchair, with a walker. And I thought, oh, hell no. That's not going to be me. But it is going to be me if I don't make a change now. If I don't, because I didn't mention, I was at the heaviest weight that I've ever been as well at this time. And so I knew with this extra weight on me, plus with a broken ankle, that I'm like, okay, what, is this going to heal properly? Right. I had this belief that as women get old, you lose that they lose bone mass and you can't recreate new bone and new, just kind of regenerating parts of ourselves, right? I thought it was like just a decline. So I thought, oh my God, that's not going to be me, but I was scared. I was scared that was going to be me in that wheelchair. That was going to be me not being able to go up the stairs and not hold onto the handrail for support. So this was a real moment of a catalyst for change for me. And I share this because I believe that we all have these moments in our lives that we get opportunities to shift and to change. And when we don't, the universe comes in and is like, well, if you don't make a change, then I'm going to have to make this change for you so that now you finally change. Right. And the more we ignore that, the harder it gets. The more challenges we face, the more resistant we are to the changes that are being asked of us, right? The harder it gets. So I finally was like, all right, I got to do something. So last October, I found a teacher. I found a doctor that I started working with. And oh my word, it blew everything that I thought I knew out of the water. But I trusted her because of the results that she had had and the results that other people had had by working with her. So I stayed on. I still actually work with her to this day, and this has been 7 months later, because I have seen so many changes within me since then. It has literally revolutionized my life. So I share this because after midlife, there are so many, there's so much advice out there. Say that. There's so many tips and advice. Eat more protein, eat more veggies, go carnivore, go keto, go vegan, right? Do juice fast. All of these things, like weight loss in a box, right? And I'm not like, there are a time and a place for some of these things. Absolutely. But I knew for me, that's not what I wanted to do, man, because I knew after midlife, I wanted to live the best last half of my life, the best last half of my life. I didn't want a quick fix this time. I didn't want to put a Band-Aid over what was happening in my body. I had a lot of inflammation going on in my body that I had to address. And I knew going to the root, going to these practices that I learned that actually healed me from the inside out. And you know what? One of the best things that I learned going through this as well too, was that we don't need anything outside of ourselves to heal. We literally have everything in us, but we're not taught that. We're not taught that. We're taught we need this. We're taught we need this, a supplement, a vitamin, a red light, machine thing, whatever it is. Now, there are amazing tools out there for our health, but we don't need any of those when we understand how to get to the root of our health, which is flipping the metabolic switch within us to get us to burn clean fuel, which is fat versus glucose. And I used to do this 13 years ago, and I used to help people do this 13 years ago. I learned a new way of how to do it now, because the way that I was doing it then wasn't working for me anymore. So I learned that. I learned the benefits of sun. I learned the benefits of fasting. I learned the benefits of all of these things that I have put into practice and put into play as a holistic approach and a sustainable approach to life. And since I've done this, and in the process that I have for it, because I've been learning this now for months and learning it from this woman that I was telling you about, this doctor. Yeah, she's in my group I have, and she has a book that I'll link in the show notes to this. You can find a lot of her information online, and I'll post her below. And then I also learned from other people as well too, and then just digging in and finding research on this. It's out there. I just didn't know where to look. I didn't even know what to look for, right? So I'm a firm believer in when we are ready for change, that change shows up in our life. The question is, though, will we take hold and say, yes, I'm coming with you, or not? I knew for me it was time. And thank goodness, because since that time, I have lost now over 40 pounds, over 40 pounds. I'm down, I don't know how many sizes, 2, 3 sizes. I sleep so good most nights. Now, sleep is sleep, right? At times there's going to be things that interrupt, but most nights now I sleep so good. I wake up rested. I am building muscle. I am literally rebuilding my body from the inside out. I'm learning how to actually regenerate my body. I'm learning how to regenerate my body. And that is the true anti-aging. That is the true health. When we learn how to put all these components together into one, That's amazing. So, with this movement that we have in our society right now of artificial, right? We have everything is artificial. We're afraid of our body. We're afraid of the natural. This is my passion and my desire to help women, just like you, come back into your body and come back into your optimal health. Or maybe you've never had optimal health and maybe you're ready for it now. Wherever you are on that, it can be done. And I'm living proof of that because I'm doing it right now. And it is my passion to gather women just like you and change our life. This has not only just changed my physical health, it's changed my business, how I look at the world, how I look at myself. I no longer look in the mirror and hate what I see. I get on the scale and instead of a pound or two going up every week, it's like, oh, it's a pound or two going down. Yay. I walk different. I talk different. I show up different in my life. And you know, one of the best things is my kids. I have a 19, 18, and 15-year-old. Two of my kids are starting to do this too. And implement some of the changes that I have made as well too. That is amazing. And that is part of the legacy that I want to leave as well too. Because when we get healthy, we inspire others to do the same thing. When we learn how to show up for ourselves, truly, we inspire other people to do the same thing for themselves. The more we tell people what to do, the more they're gonna like pull back. The more we show people by doing it ourselves, that is when change happens. Because now they're like, I believe this. This can actually happen. Look at that. Look at her go. Look at her go. It's real. If she can do it, maybe I can do it too. Right? It's possible. If it's possible for her, maybe it's possible for me too. Just maybe. And maybe if I allowed myself to have support in this, rather than just chasing the latest fad idea out there on health, maybe I could really learn to build that foundation within me so that I don't ever have to worry about weight again. And I have the actual tools in my tool belt. It's not about just losing weight. Yeah, that's great. And that's amazing because we live in a sensitive culture right now where you can't even say FAT, right? PHAT. But the truth is, the more of that we have in our body, the more toxins we're carrying, the more pain we will have in our body. That's just the reality of it. That's just the health of it. The more we shed the toxic cells, the toxins that are in these cells, and be able to release them, oh my word, we see the world differently. Our eyes change. The color even of our eyes change. They get brighter. We start to look at life with like a sense of like, oh my gosh, what is possible? If I can do this for myself, what else can I do? This is the mission. This is the mission. Is to help women just like you transform your health and therefore transform your life, transform your family. Your family just feel good in your body. After 40, our bodies do change, but it doesn't mean that we have to decline. That is an outdated myth that you don't have to subscribe to because it's not true. It's not true. You can rebuild bone. You can regenerate yourself at any age. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't. The people in your life that are telling you can't are going to drag you down. If you have people in your life that are only looking at the negative, that are only just complaining, that's going to be your life too. You are the culmination, the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Take a look at your environment. Take a look at the people that you're around. What do you listen to? Who do you let influence you? So I'm going to end here. I just wanted to share a little bit of my story. And I wanted to, one of the biggest points I wanted to make is that we don't know what we don't know. And there's a lot of mistruths out there around weight loss and around health for women after 40, around perimenopause, around menopause, around what our role is after 40. You don't have to sit on the sidelines. You don't have to decline. You can make a choice today to say, I'm not believing that anymore. I'm going to live the last half of my life as the best half of my life. I wanted to share this with you. I hope that this reaches you in a beautiful space and that you're able to receive the messages here. And if I could be of support for you in your health journey, please reach out to me. I'll have my information down below or in the show notes. Make sure that you subscribe to this podcast or to this channel and leave a review if you found this valuable, and share with someone who needs a message like this, and reach out. I would love to hear from you and hear about your health journey after 40. Take care, and I'll see you next time.